Hey everyone, and welcome to the third part of my orbiter Earth-Venus Sling by to Mercury mission series. So in the last video or stream, we did our Venus flyby.
Station, we copy?
And our
Give us
first
a second,
course,
we'll look
and
at it.
set up our slingshot to take us to Mercury. In this video, right now, we're going to set up a close flyby with Mercury and explore the option of a gravity assist to take us to a second Mercury flyby. Right now we have a decently close approach to Mercury actually set up right now. I'm just going to try and set up a slingshot. So right now we're going to warp to get out of the Venus' sphere of influence completely, because again that messes up our slingshot planning.
Rotation.
Where is Venus? I'm going to bring up the orbit MFD on the external MFD again. Yeah, we're actually quite some distance away from Venus, but I'm going to time warp a bit more and get a lot of separation. Now we have more than sufficient separation from Venus. So, in the last part of the mission, I figured out the hard way that making course corrections too early messes up the slingshot, because it messes with the arrival time, and that is very significant when it comes to planning the slingshot. So for I'm going to try and make the course corrections later on. I'm going to try to maintain the encounter MJD with these course corrections. For example, right now our encounter MJD is 56724.6. I'm going to try and adjust it to get our closest approach down while keeping the same encounter date. Right now I'm just bringing up Notepad to write down that number, 56724.6. And Orbiter just glitched itself, so I'm just going to restart it real quickly.
All systems nominal.
Now it's working. Okay, so I'm going to set up a maneuver node. So first we actually need to set up the slingshot here. Because right now our angle is very ill-suited for another Mercury flyby. We also need to adjust the orbits to intercept so that it's telling it to look for a flyby after we've gone through a half of an orbit, so that it isn't glitching out thinking that it's referring to the same flyby that we're going to use for our slingshot. I think we found a very good close encounter on this side. This puts us on a fairly reasonable close approach to slingshot, so we will use that for now. So now we can go forward and set up our slingshot, our initial Mercury slingshot, trying to keep the encounter MJD the same. Right now it would appear that our current slingshot that we're aiming for is not a valid slingshot. It would put us under the surface of Mercury, which is obviously not good. Pretty sure the PE-PL ratio is supposed to be positive.
Yeah.
So looking at this, and it could be that I'm really just misreading it in TransX, but I'm not exactly sure we are going to be able to set up another flyby, which in this case is fine. But it does mean that we're not able to set up a flyby to Mercury. At this point, like Mercury is just quite literally too weak to do much of a gravity assist on. Our oxygen level is 95%. So at this point, what I think I'm going to do is do the Mercury flyby and then see what it does to our orbit afterwards. I'm not expecting it to do that much. and then essentially see what options it gives us in terms of any sort of deep space maneuvers to re-encounter Venus and get us on a trajectory that will eventually take us back to Earth. For now, I'm not exactly certain how we would go about tuning much from here. Right now, we will execute the current maneuver. -12 a second burn in 13,000 seconds.
Translation.
Right now we're aligned for a reasonably close approach of Mercury. Let's remove the extra gland for now.
And airlock also tells me that with all the cuties that he's worked with, it is not usual to have this 2D10, but it is possible.
Gonna quick save it here. See what happens as we approach Mercury. So right now we are 1 kilometer away from Mercury. Not a kilometer, but we are on a very interesting trajectory. We seem to actually have an apoapsis and a periapsis. We're actually very slow relative to Mercury.
Copy.
Rotation.
Actually curious if we can actually capture ourselves in Mercury orbit, which would be very interesting. now we have a periapsis of 180 kilometers around Mercury. What I'm guessing caused this is some sort of n-body physics interaction. That's about the only way you can enter into a captured orbit like this. Or it could have been that my time warp, I just time warped when I shouldn't have, and that messed up something with the physics engine. Don't know. But either way, I guess we're stuck with it. To circularize it would require 930 meters a second, and we only have 682. But if we include the RCS, we do have the acceptable amount.
Crossfeed.
So we'll have to do it a cross feed. So we get 930 meters a second of RCS. Of main field, sorry.
Crossfeed off.
We can orient ourselves retrograde and prepare for the orbit insertion burn.
Warning, main fuel low. System reset.
We can mute that warning. Now we are in a circular 180 kilometer Mercury orbit. Not the intended outcome of the mission, but not a bad one either. But at this point in the mission, there is not much more to be done. Curiosity, I'm going to replay the quick save from right before that last course correction burn and see if without the excessive time warp we get the same result.
Welcome aboard, Commander.
That is
All systems.
definitely the wrong mission. So we're looking for current state 002.
All systems nominal.
You're on a collision course with Mercury. Just quick save. You have to get really close to Mercury for there to be much of a gravitational effect. So, yep, see, as I suspected, the orbital capture trajectory was an unintended consequence of our time warp, which again didn't make physically much sense that you could physically even do that, but kind of what was expected. At this point, the XR2 is heading straight for Mercury's surface. It's a pretty excessive vertical velocity. And this probably won't end up in this series. Again, I didn't really have the fuel. Again, the mission probably could have been a lot better planned, but the lessons were learned. The next series will probably be another similar sort of inner solar system slingshot mission, but much better planned and with a clearly planned return, unlike this mission.
5,000.
Warning,
Gear is up.
Yeah, I just managed to crash orbiter. Future missions might also actually involve using a actual space probe, such as the Chapman probe, which I do technically have installed and could use this. The Falcon 9 mod for Orbiter 2016. Having to set one up using an actual satellite with limited delta V and limited delta V capabilities would also be quite interesting. I guess that swing by will conclude that mission.